So what I tried to do here very cheekily, like I was trying to refer to earlier on, when I was talking about AI. I mean, I feel like it's such a win-win for me to talk about AI so that I can make you feel guilty about using AI in your assignments. I used AI because I do believe it's a challenge that you're going to face very soon when you are a teacher. Like right now, it's a different kind of challenge. It's a different philosophical challenge for you because now you're a student and you've got pressure and deadlines and you need help sometimes. I get it. I mean, I did these slides. I did this 2 weeks ago, so I didn't cheat and use AI in a hurry. But I mean, I now only do slides with AI. I refuse to do my old school PowerPoint. Like it's everything I wanted from a slide. Like they're fun, neatly polished. Why would I? Sorry, let me do it full slide. Sorry. Why would I ever go back to creating my old boring PowerPoint and designer slides? So it is a bit of a moral and ethical dilemma for all of us in various positions. You now, and then you as a teacher. And I thought maybe it's a fun way to explain some of the theory from this section without me having to like regurgitate the theory, because that you can go YouTube if you don't understand what it means, what deontology means, but a good way of us to talk about it and get the conversation going. Okay. I'm trying to make it so I can have all of my screens available. Sorry, that's what I'm clicking away at over here. Okay. Any questions, just like stop and shout. Okay. So really just gonna run through some of the main concepts with you. I think this will kind of give you some, we'll try to refer back to your assignment. I think there's 1 or 2 points where I almost feel I have to. So this is, let's just put in the case study forward for why it's important for you. Everything I just said now, that it's no longer like a maybe tool, like you can't go into class now and tell your students, your learners, to do a PowerPoint presentation for you and then get them marks for the PowerPoint. I mean, you can't do that anymore. That's over. Um, I don't know. Do you mark the prompts that they give the AI? Do you mark how they deliver the presentation? These are all questions. And then obviously there's academic and policy questions that will come into play. But right now we're talking about the ethical question around that and what informs your view on AI. I wish I could stop and ask you all for your view on AI. And my big wish, I wish you'd pop it in the chat and say, I hate AI or I love AI or meh. That would be quite interesting. Just because apparently like there's a big like uprising amongst young people. My 10-year-old already thinks he doesn't want to use it because he's just heard all the bad stuff. It's bad for the environment, he's still 10. It's bad for people losing jobs, so he's quite dramatic about it. So, and then just to inform our conversation, 43%, here's the pen, sorry. So, 43% of students use AI for academic tasks. I think that, I mean, you're either nodding your head now in agreement or like, yeah, I think it's even more. 51% view ChatGPT as a form of cheating. Where do you sit? Do you think it's cheating, not cheating? So as a student, how do you feel about it? And as a teacher, how do you feel about it? But only 18% use AI to copy paste work. Is that the thing that we're most worried about? That there's no engagement? Maybe there's engagement here with AI. So let's talk about some of we're trying to focus on the ethical stuff. So these are all the concepts taken from your MO, your module outline, just in case you're wondering. Personal relativism, sorry, your moral truth is relative to the individual. And I like that. If a student feels that AI use is acceptable, then for them it is right. There's no objective truth that exists. I feel like that's a big, I'm so cheeky like with some of our students. But yeah, it's okay. I just use it for this, I'll only just use it for this. Existentialism argues for kind of radical freedom. So we choose our actions and must bear the total responsibility. Choosing AI is a choice, and that defines your own integrity. There's a few more concepts coming up, and if I could force you to be more engaging, I would. I can't. So I'd want you to like put your opinion in the chat, but I can't force you to do that. But what I would ask you to do is kind of, as we talk about this, think about yourself. And it is an important process. People disregard it often, like to sit and reflect on yourself. So like these two choices, there's more coming up, but where do you sit? And I'm using AI as an example, but where do you sit on the spectrum? You know, you might say, "Oh no, no, definitely, I'm not like this. I don't think because it's right for me, it's right." Or do you sit on this end of the spectrum? And that's all I can really ask for you. I mean, you are postgrad, you are adults, so whether you choose to reflect or if you're doing something else there and making supper, that's your choice. Um, so if you look at it if you look at AI in the realm of cultural relativism, okay. So yeah, the suggestion is that models are a social product. So based on the culture that you're in. So models are learned from your culture. So I don't know how many of you are sitting there, and either nodding your head or being like, nah, my culture doesn't do much like that. I mean, I want to speak plainly. I don't know how offended you'll get, but that's okay. Just to background my offensive comments. Uh, like most of my like academic work I try to do is around like I think I've said this before, but I must repeat it, like around issues of race, gender, class. You know, so like race issues, gender issues. So I talk about it quite freely. If I hope you don't take too much offense. Um, So, and I like this because I always say like I'm colored, eh? So I can be like black. My lineage is like proper black, proper white, mixed up in a colored. So whatever mixed race, whatever you want to call it politically correctly. But on my government forms, I must say colored. So so I always like think about this like cultural, it's like cultures, colors don't have much culture. Eh? People just associate us with violence and drinking and nonsense. Like that's I'm joking, but so but then I think of other, you know, other stuff, other cultures. So I guess the question what you're asking you here, besides my silly reference. Yes, Strauss, please joke about my joke.
Or
Yes.
for interest's sake, like, or argument's sake, rather, in terms
Yeah.
of culture, then yeah, like, one to chuck on the table is whether cannibalism is justifiable if it is a certain group's culture, and they've always
Oh.
done that.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Well, oh, man. Well, I guess here we go. For that culture it is right, isn't it? I mean that's probably the answer. Like in your view, or in not yours, in someone else's view, it might be completely like despicable, inhumane. How dare they? From a religious point of view, no ways. God said you must not kill. They might have a very utilitarian approach to it, which we'll get to, I think, in the last or second last slide, where they say not only is it our culture, but also it makes sense for our culture to get rid of people that are dead weight. And that's how we keep our culture going. It's a utilitarian decision. And then in their space, they are right. Is it not? They're wrong to us, but in their world, they are right. So I guess that is exactly the question, Strauss, that I'm trying to kind of ask, or what I said in the beginning. Like, there's no right answer. When it comes to ethics and morals, there is no like you can say yours is better than. And I guess that's important for you in the assignment. Not to You can't answer the assignment and say there's no right answer. Please, please, please. What you have to understand is the theoretical the theoretical understanding behind the 2 points of view. There's the parents of the child in your assignment, and there's the school and the government department, the state department, whatever you want to call it. And there's those views and how those views are informed. Right or wrong is quite difficult in some of these instances, you know. Um, please go for it. I see. Spongomoso.
Cucumbers and carrots.
Um, this conversation kind of reminds me of an issue I tend to run into where I try to be ethical or morally correct and then run into like the situation where like when you go into the nitty-gritty nuanced aspect of both sides, they're both in their own way correct in some cases. Um, but I end up forgetting about my own personal views and morals to the situation and end up forgetting that as a person participating in this situation, and by participating, I mean like engaging in the conversation or whatever, I forget that I too also need to factor in my own personal perspective on morality and whatnot, and also trust that other people are doing the same as well. So I feel, I think mostly because I feel the reason why I'm not necessarily too stressed about the assignment is because, yeah, it is
But yeah,
difficult.
the
Pardon?
assignment
Yeah, I
or
mean, the
your opinion.
situation in the assignment
Mhm.
is because although, yes, I like anybody could go either side, I feel it's very like the answer or outcome is very dependent on you personally, and that you kind of need to keep that in mind. And kind of like sit with that. So whatever decisions you make and how you get there is kind of like for you to make, and also for you to live with the consequences that come with acting on the decisions of living in accordance to what you think is ethical or not ethical, if I'm making sense.
I mean, sense. I mean, tricky. I mean, sense. I don't think there's place for sense here. No, no. I think you are making sense about your own personal view. It's such a, I don't even know how to teach this, to be honest. It's only something that you could live, I guess.
Mm.
Once you've been in a school, kind of doing this grind all the time. Yeah, I mean, I really wish I could share some. I mean, I've had a week, eh? I've had an ethical week, which I can't even explain. With like just issues coming up, which eventually you sit with ethics around the decision or policy, for example, around the decision. Like what is right, what the law or your policy states? What do you feel you should be doing? And so I guess to answer your question about the individual aspect, fortunately, I think for this assignment, it's asking you to look from the outside in. This issue's already played out, There's already been a consequence, there's already been actions by either party. So this shouldn't be difficult. I think the only difficult part will be to substantiate and motivate what you think. But what you think is what you think. If you think this is wrong or it's right, that's what we want you to say. So what the parents did, is that wrong or is it right? Morally, ethically, based on what? What the school and the department did. And like Taylor asked, did the school even do anything? Well, silence is something. So yeah, I do like what you said about sitting, having to like sit with yourself on this. Um,
Mm.
yeah. Sorry, anybody else? I just had to go move to a charger. Sorry, everybody. Okay, cool. Thank you for that, for both the question and the observation. Okay, let's do some more fun theory. So I guess, yeah, even culturally, like, would you argue, and I wish I could tell you, I'm also a bit of an, like, trying to absorb all everything about AI that I can. So podcast, crazy, etc. And I was listening to one today, obviously around the debate about AI, benefits, etc., all of that. So does it like help with the cultural divide? We're having quite a debate at the moment around students that don't have access to devices and therefore AI as easily as other students, students in the Eastern Cape, for example, rural KZN, and also didn't have it at school. So now, if you are bringing AI into your class, you might argue that AI is good in your class. If you want to include it, students should know it. But what do you do if students don't have like the background, Do you go back a step? It's easy to say you fix it. So, I mean, just lots and lots. I feel like the questions keep coming. Okay, let me keep going. I think I referred to this early on around like religion. So the issue of divine command and natural law. So there are absolute, I don't know how many of you believe this. It's a question. It's for you to sit with. How many of you believe, and I mean, maybe you think about this in relation to the assignment. if you want to. That was the point. So I don't talk about the assignment, but vis-a-vis, you can refer yourself to the assignment. So it's absolute, I'm reading divine command, absolute model rules from a higher power. I mean, there is only one truth. So around that school issue, and it's a hard one because I feel like there it's hard for, like, there's only one truth. Like, can you bring religion into that kind of a school situation? Maybe it's not relevant to that situation. Question for you, question for yourself. Natural law, acting according to human nature, is AI. So I'm using AI, but I'm finding myself wanting to refer to the assignment. So is AI an unnatural replacement for the human gift of reason and creativity? And then today I heard this again, my podcast in the way home was around, again, like an AI, Anthropic, and the work they're doing, trying to make AI good, although they're scared it will be bad, and how they've had talks with the Pope. They had a shared address about like AI and asking religious leaders to contribute towards AI so that it can be informed. I was like, wow, like what a world. So I don't know, does that mean that AI is what is it considered as? Unnatural? Natural? Just a tech? I don't have the answers. I'm just giving you, I guess, I hope, fun questions. The question of egoism, um, we act on self-interest, and I mean this could be a fun one, for the school case study. So here's the question here that people say, like, how they use AI just for brainstorming topics, for drafting essays, or for direct submission. The question is, should we be using it if it's more efficient? That's what the ethical egoism says. Ethical egoism argues we should maximize our own benefit. Is AI just a tool for the selfish student, or is it a tool to maximize our own benefit? Such a tough one, because are students using it to do better at the assignment and to like really interrogate the knowledge and to learn, or are students using it because it's a quick, like, I have to get it in, I'm out of time, left it for too late, I'm under pressure, must submit something? It's such a hard, like, question. And maybe as a teacher, what do you do about it? I mean, I can't wait to see you after teaching experience. And this is why I say that first session is so important, that I get to know who's a teacher, who's not a teacher, who's been in school. I'm really dying to know what your experience will be after coming out of school. Can't wait to hear, you know, like, is there even time for this conversation around AI? There's just too much to do all the time. Okay, and then kind of one of my favorite theories, I don't know if this is one that I subscribe to or I just like talking around, is utilitarianism. This should, depending on your answer, hint, hint, not a hint, this should come up a lot in your assignment. This concept of utilitarianism. So, and I always, this part gets me. The greatest good for the most people. It's a hard one, eh? Because sometimes that's not always good for like, it's not good for the minority. It's good for the majority. So the question is, does a teacher's efficiency through AI provide more value to the students than the cost of a white lie? Maybe I should put it to you this way. I've been thinking through this teachers and AI assisted teaching thing. And then I heard this really crazy statistic somewhere, about students in a classroom in a normal, like, I use normal in inverted commas, if you could see me. I do see your hand, I'll get to you right now. Like in inverted commas, a normal classroom, 30 plus students, etc., reasonable school, all that other stuff. They get, I think the statistic is something like less than like 27 seconds of one-on-one time with a teacher during a day, in a school day. And just pause on that for a second. Just think about it in your own life and in your own school. If you went to that kind of a school, if you were at a smaller school, like, sorry, you're you're deregistered, you're disregarded from this conversation. But maybe just like, maybe I can pause there for a second. So for me, that's a big statistic. I do see your hand, and I don't know if you want to answer my question or ask another question.
Sorry, we
Fazai.
just can see the slides.
You can't see it.
Yeah, it's like a lot
Yeah.
of us in the chat. We can't see the slides anymore.
For like the entire time. Okay.
Sorry.
Why is no one want to shout at me? You're so welcome to like say something. Why would you sit there quietly thinking this guy's crazy? Sorry, everybody. Okay. Okay, I'm not gonna go back if you don't mind. Can you see thank thing? The rest of you, daggers. Is it cool? Sorry, I didn't see the chat, everybody. I was fully focused on slideshow here. There, I see. I cannot see slides. Sorry, everybody. Okay. Okay. What was my question? Sorry, I just got distracted with my question. So, yeah, I'm a big proponent of utilitarianism. I love the argument. So I'm really would really love to know what are your thoughts? Just for a second. If you feel like putting something in the chat, it really spark a lot more conversation than just my voice. I'm gonna pause there for just a minute. Yeah, Pizza, you can go. Please go for it. I'm now reading the comments, so please go for it.
Yeah, I feel in this day and age, we really can't run away from AI, in as much as we would want to stay true to our own work and stuff like that. So I feel, you know what, as long as we're using it responsibly, then why not? That's just how I feel.
Ooh, I want to go back a few slides now. Feel like you are that person we spoke about. Look at how do you. I mean, that is the question of the time. What is responsibly? And do you think? I mean, are you all are doing senior phase, FET phase, which is high school. So do you think that grade 8s are fine? They're sweet. They still come from like Baba class. Grade 9, woo. Grade 10, woo. Grade 11 and 12, they might mature a bit and they might like grow a conscience. But those 2 years, do you think they're gonna care about ethically when they just came home from soccer practice at 9 o'clock and you want an assignment tomorrow? I know. I'm being cheeky. I'm just poking the hole here. I'm just poking a little bit, Toshna. Yeah, Beth.
It says here the greatest good for most people, but I think we need to think about what does it mean by that? Because if we look at the environmental impacts, the greatest good would be to not use it. But if we look at efficiency, the greatest good would be to use it. So it depends what you're talking about, because there's so many layers to it.
I love it. Thank you, Beth. Yes, keep going. Don't stop. Keep going. Yes, there are so many. Keep going. I mean, yeah. I mean, I felt myself like today, and I'm referring to this one. This is the top of my mind, is this stupid podcast. But it was like with the Anthropic CEO, etc., etc. And like the argument they were saying, sorry, I'm digressing, but I think it's around the same point around utilitarianism. And I felt like, wow. Because I've been on the other side, like, wow, I don't know what to do. It needs controls. And that's what they also saying, it needs controls. And the environment issue, I mean, this is what my child cries about all the time. I can't even we used to have, not that I overuse AI, but I know his teacher does. So I thought, okay, I'll also do what his teacher does. I'll make a cool picture for him. But now he looks at me like, don't do that. You're wasting resources. Like, and yeah, it's it's the hardest decision to make. Because I always spend about 3 hours preparing slides for a lecture. No matter how I try to cheat or duck it. And now even with AI, I think I'm spending 2 hours, like an hour to do the slides, now with an hour to reflect on them and is this right? I'll insert this, change this. So I've got an hour efficiency from I don't know how many thousand liters of water and natural resources I've consumed. So where do I sit? I don't know. I'm definitely, as you said, I like how you phrased it. And I'm definitely the one going for efficiency over the greater good. You know what I mean? Because there's 27 of you here or something. So I don't know if you are the greater good for a couple of trees. Yeah, that's the question. Cool. I have more to say, but please go for it, Sarah. Go.
I mean, I'm just saying my opinion. It might not add to anything, but
Always
The
does.
place I'm doing my teaching prac at said that every subject now includes AI. And although my lessons don't have to include AI, they do recommend it. So I found that very interesting.
Wow.
I
Wow.
also, yeah, and I'm English.
Wait, say that again. Say that again. Please say it again. Like my mind is blown. You see why I say you people must talk? Please say it again.
They said that although I don't have to include AI in my lessons, it's like it would be a good thing if I did. And every subject, this is a private school as well, every subject now includes some aspect of AI. And I am in two minds because I do think that kids are going to use it. So if you give them some freedom to use it, maybe that they won't go too far with it, maybe they'll use it in the boundaries that it's introduced to them. But at the same time, I think even things so the English teacher explained that what she does is for creative writing, they have to write their creative writing piece in class. They submit that as a draft, and then they are allowed to put it into ChatGPT or whatever, and then submit that as their final writing piece. But that also, like I think even if you're in matric, even if you're in grade 11, there's still a lot of like foundational things that you're still polishing, you're still getting used to. So I think they're going to miss out on learning how to write like sentence structures and paragraphing, and because AI is just going to be able to do that for them. So I don't know, but at the same time, I also agree that they're going to go and do it themselves,
Yeah. Sorry. I was looking for the emoji. Like the mind blown one. Like, I'm just like blown at this. That's the approach of the school, and also your argument. I mean, I hear that, and I completely get that. The counter argument to what they're saying. I mean, we still haven't settled this debate, my wife and I, around our 10-year-old and whether or not he has to. And it was so not intense, like, like, wasn't like the marriage rocks, but I actually went to my colleagues and I said, hey, like, it was in a conversation around AI, and I came up again and was saying about him having to learn how to use PowerPoint because he had to do an oral and they could use a PowerPoint or they could do a poster, one of those. You want to do a PowerPoint, and I was like, you could just use AI and just learn how to prompt it. And then like after like, no, he's got to like learn how to do and like understand what goes into making a PowerPoint. And we haven't settled it, so I don't know where you sit on that. So must he know how to do a PowerPoint? I'm not doing this for my marital dispute later. But must he know how to do a PowerPoint? Or must he know how to prompt? Because the AI's PowerPoints are better. Like, why must he know? But he must know what he wants to do with layout and moving images around. I don't know. I don't have, I mean, I've been saying this a lot this last week to people talking about AI and to the campuses talking about AI. I'm gonna let you two talk now, but I didn't finish the other story, and I just wanna before I forget it, and then I'll stop. I only got 2 more slides, everybody. I am watching the time. This, I mean, if you go to any other lecture, this is what it's about. The engagement is more important for your understanding, I think, than anything else. Very quickly. So that whole anthropic thing, and I mean, their argument is, and this it doesn't make sense to me yet, but if like they're talking about the jobs and the jobs that will be replaced and the jobs that will remain, and they're saying like the jobs that remain are stuff like they're a fancy name like landscaping, but gardening, like self-care work. How doctors have to focus less on the procedure, but stuff like diagnosis and like feeling where the pain is and bedside manners with a patient. The actual like treating it with a robot, AI can do better, like in a surgery. But the bedside stuff, that's a doctor. I was thinking, wow, what if AI made doctors more friendly? Like they spend more time on being nice than when when you've got a sick child in hospital and doctors are pain. Like what if that's and like the gardening thing. So what if people are doing more of that with their time and like is that really the world? I'm being very existential over the top. And to answer, I don't think it answers was it a Beth's question around destroying the environment, for us to be gardening. But I just found it a very interesting counter argument, I should say. I don't think good, but interesting. Okay. Number one was now you can correct me, Lazandre, and then Spongomus.
Oh, great. You pronounced it correctly the second time. I just want to
Yeah.
quickly piggyback off Sarah. It's crazy because I'm going to teach at another private school and they have zero AI policy. Teachers are not allowed to use it. If they find you out, they will expel you as a teaching student or teacher. So it's just different. And then when you look at my husband is a software engineer, so he understands these mechanisms much better, but he still sees like the work, how much faster AI can help him if he plugs in Claude with his programming programs, whatever. And how fast he can find out or detect where he has an error or a bug or whatever. So that's crazy how it can help you. But I think overarchingly, if you look at the CEOs of Anthropic or ChatGPT or any of these companies, they are sending their children either to be homeschooled and they are not allowed technology. So if the creators of these tools, in brackets, go back to the state where their children need to learn to write cursive, how to not be with technology and not rely on technology, it should send some type of message to us as the consumer of this tool.
Ooh, you could get me started. Thank you so much. That was so cool. Actually, I'm really just happy that you said the first line before I get excited about the rest of what you said around your experience being different around AI. And I think that's kind of the point of why I wanted to raise this. I think right now you still have to go through whatever the school does, but in a year from now, to be your classroom. So you choose to challenge the school. Like if you were a teacher at the school in your case study where the incident happened, you see how the teacher's voice is quite silent in that case study. There's no mention of a teacher like doing anything or stopping anything or protesting or getting the tree down. And I'm gonna be very blunt and horrible now, and I'm doing it just for argument's sake. And I'm almost imagining a school where the teachers don't care anymore. I'm being horrible on purpose for argument's sake. With the teachers, there's obviously like a break time roster, like most schools have. And if you were like me at the school in my early days, where I'd be late for break time, I'd be not paying attention. I'd be like paying some attention, 50%, and then maybe like chatting to some students about whatever happened in the test or soccer match or whatever, or I'd run and go get coffee and then come back to the playground. That's my playground duty. And so if you were a teacher and you saw that tree and you had these children and you didn't say anything, I mean, it's not mentioned in the case study, so you can't actually comment on it. You can only comment on what's there. You get what I mean? Like there's a question for you there as a person, as a teacher. Like this is a very remote kind of concept. But I mean, come back to AI. Do you fight for AI in your classroom? Do you fight with your teacher, with your principal? Do you fight with the school governing body? Do you keep quiet? So if you are in one of those two schools that we just mentioned now, pro AI, anti AI, where do you sit as a person, as a teacher? And then what do you do? Do you keep quiet and say nothing at your school? Do you kick up a fuss saying you won't fire me? I've got a union, but I'm going to raise this with the governing body. What do you do? It's fun, eh? These questions. Okay, I do see your excited hand, Beth, and I want to hear. Spongomuso's arm must be tired, so I'm going to let her go first. Spongomuso.
Can you hear me?
Spongomusa. I'm saying so at the end. Sorry, apologies. Yeah, I can hear you, yes.
My personal stance on AI is that I feel it's kind of like a situation of like, how does it go? Like, teach a man how to fish and he can do it for himself for a lifetime, but give him a fish,
Give
he
a
like
man, give a man a
only
fish, they
has
get a meal for the
supper.
day. Teach a man to fish, they get a meal
Yeah,
forever. Yeah.
that I feel if you're not careful, because there are situations like Lisandre, I hope I said your name correctly, said with her partner working in AI and helping, and it's helping him like make things that
Yeah.
he already knows how to do quicker. That to me is okay because you're not using AI to, how do I say, compensate for a skill that you don't already have. You're using it genuinely as a tool. However, my issue lies especially in schools, because in schools you are teaching children or people how to do something they already don't know how, like they don't know how to do on their own. So I don't think there should be AI intermingling with that process, because it's kind of like you're teaching them how to use AI to do it instead of them doing it for themselves. You kind of like placing them in a situation where they're becoming dependent
But I
on
mean, why are you
it.
teaching him? But why are you teaching him geography? They don't want to teach. They don't want to learn geography,
It's not
whatever.
necessarily, I feel,
Because you're
how do
teaching
I
them
say?
basic
Maybe,
education, so they have a
pardon?
firm foundation, so they can make the right choices for themselves going further. That's all we're
Yeah,
doing in basic education. So you'll say, I'm just being devil's advocate there. So it's the
but I
future.
also feel
Mhm.
in that thing about children not wanting to learn that. I think personally, and I might be wrong about this.
There's no wrong.
Um,
But cool. Yeah.
um, I don't think children truly don't want to learn about certain things. I just feel maybe it might be a situation where they don't either feel connected to it or the style in which they're being taught. Like, I feel like there are more factors involved than just them not feeling like not wanting to do this or not feeling interested in it. I, how do I say? Because, like, when I look at myself and my relationship to education, I feel personally I would enjoy being anywhere, maths included, and I'm terrible at maths. If like I was in a space that made me, how do I that like taught maths to me in a way that I understood it. I feel like it's more like a confidence thing, but I feel people do want to learn and people do have an innate and almost instinctual desire to know about a thing, but it's an issue of trying to not convince them, but show them that, like, how do I say, direct them into seeing that they actually do want to know this. They just don't feel or think, and not in like a whole controlling way. I'm struggling to explain this.
No, I want to say you can stop now, not in a mean way. Like I get you, I know everyone else does. Um, but you can finish. Let me not be rude and cut you off.
Oh no,
No,
but I was going to like finish off by saying I think it's extremely difficult to do that in situations where you have like 30 children. Like if you had like two children to teach, I feel like approaching education in that lens where you are catering it to their preference of learning and truly tackling education from the perspective of providing them with information and the tools to understand that information and convert it to knowledge, and then also provide um, experiences where they can turn that knowledge into wisdom. Like it's very difficult to do that in a
Okay,
big class.
I'm just stopping because of time. Because I mean, everything
Yeah.
you're saying, I want to comment on. So I'm saying time because I will talk for too long based on what you said, not because of you. Look, most of what you're describing, and I almost want to separate the conversation, is not talking about AI. I mean, first of all, which is cool. Everything you're saying is, whew, this is where I become tough love. Everything you're saying is your job. So everything you're describing, I was waiting for you to say it about creating a learning environment and making them want to learn. And that is a teacher's job to make it amazing. This is my love for this job. That's your job. The issue that you can't get a school full of teachers that all share the same vision. Maybe that's my personal view. Um, so everything you're saying about there's no one that doesn't want to learn and it's the environment and it's the teacher, I mean the school and your socioeconomic status and all of that plays. There's lots of stuff you're saying in that statement. There's lots to unpack. I don't think we can do it today. I don't think it's a question of ethics. That's like it really is for me like a teaching and learning module. Like how do you make the subject more engaging? How do you like elicit the response from students? It's everything from, oh, I could go on about this forever. So I'm going to stop myself, although I really want to. But I think it's a valid point, what you're saying. I do think lots of what you're saying is teacher. Not dismissing what you're saying. I just think we talk this particular topic about AI and ethics. My big ethical question is why do teachers change once they come out of varsity? They come out having all the new skills and they know a lot more than the older teachers, but they get to a school. The older teachers tell them this is how we teach at this school, and then those teachers just crumble and they become like the rest. And that's my anyway. So we have 5 minutes, and I want to hear from all three of you. So I'm gonna just give me a second. I just wanted to do this to say, like, don't worry about the rest of the slides. It's fine. I put them up already. They are available. This isn't too important. And this was just talking, kind of looking at what these things mean. Just so I know I finished off the slides. Like we spoke about universal law, respect for persons. You can read to the rest. I think it's really straightforward. I just made some more examples here about like where rights come in and policy. Okay. So, and then the last one is just where the slides are from. Okay, cool. So I just want to say, like, we can go back there, but I think we covered the most of it. I'm not too bothered. The conversation is great. So Beth, and then Strauss, and then Taylor, and then we'll be out of time.
Mine isn't something that's very long, but
No,
I
no,
thought
no.
you'd find this interesting. Our third year English lecturer, because my undergraduate is in English, she said she didn't have to worry about her top students in her lectures using AI because they all had an ego that made them think they were better than AI. And you know what? We all sat there and went, yeah.
Oh, that's nice. That's
And
nice.
then we
Oh,
would
wow. Cheeky.
it's also we were like, why if you were going to put a text, we tested this actually, like Virginia Woolf or one of your older texts, you put it into an AI detector. It detects AI because you've got Oxford commas, you've got run-on sentences, you've got semicolons, M dashes, all of this. So yes, she was like, they all think they're better than them because they can pick up that this is not AI, but AI can't.
Yeah, it's such a weird world we're in, everybody. I wish the world could have some patience with whatever we're going through. I feel like everyone's impatient to either like not be wrong or not be right or control something they can't control. It's a great example. Thank you. Okay. Um, Strauss and then Taylor.
I just
Strauss
wanted to
in us
say,
home. Not cannibalism, eh? I can't answer that
no,
again.
no.
Okay.
But so the way that you guys were talking earlier, just about the skills and like AI not filling in a gap and all of it, it just reminds me of a story I heard with someone who I know. He's an accountant and he works for one of these big accounting firms. So then he got a post in, let's just say, overseas, and he actually said that something that he's noted is how he's a lot stronger in the foundations, like in terms of actually knowing the concepts, because the other people grew up or went to school in a so-called first world country, but with us not having the technology, with it not being as integrated, like you could actually see a difference in the cognitive skills. So he actually had a bit more leverage. So it was just very interesting.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I hear you. Yeah, I mean, that is the balance, isn't it? I mean, I go back to utilitarianism. I mean, all these things we speak about, but like, is any of it worth it if we're gonna kill half of the planet and we'll die? Like, is any of it even worth it? So, I feel like the conversations go back and forth all the time. But exactly what you're saying, Strauss. My whole life goal is like, I don't know about the rest of you, but mine's always like balance. Like, how do we balance out? Because if I think of a class of 50 students sitting in a rural school with an inadequate teacher, no offense to them, but 50 students, and if I think an AI tool, it doesn't have to be a tablet, eh? Don't get into that state of mind, like you must have a tablet to make a difference. But if I think that an AI lesson that is targeted at each individual and they can learn for 20 minutes with someone paying attention to them, albeit a computer, an AI program, versus 27 seconds in a whole day. I'm just like, whoa, maybe there's some potential here for our weird socioeconomic situation. Do you know what I mean? I'm still torn. So I don't know if it answers you, Strauss, but I mean, yeah, just to kind of comment on that. Taylor, take us home.
I'll be as quick as possible.
No, go for it.
So from a teacher perspective, I would argue, like, I wouldn't want my students to be using AI because at the end of the day, how can I test what they are learning and what skills they've developed from what I've taught them? So I'll be looking at it like, okay, did you actually learn what I've taught you, or did you just give me what AI said? You know?
The question of
So
the time, but must they learn or apply it? Must they learn it or
yeah,
understand it? I'm being
yeah.
cheeky.
So yeah, I always say like if you're letting AI take away your ability to critically think about something, and like Cebu said, if you take away the critical thinking aspect from it and become dependent on it, then I think that's a little bit unethical because you're just hindering yourself, you know. But from a student perspective, right? I use AI in terms of like for philosophy, right? I always struggled with some like understanding some things. So sometimes if I would look at a theory for like go through a bunch of resources and still not understand, I would put it in ChatGPT and say, okay, explain this like I'm 2 years old,
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
then I
Or
would
put it into a
understand it.
notebook. Yeah. Or put it into a notebook and
Ex-
say, make a video for me. Make a 2-minute video that
exactly.
explains all three. No, no, that's exactly. Yeah, I'm cutting you off because people are going to leave. But,
That's
Taylor,
fine.
no, no, no. I mean, please always come to class. Always. Okay, I'm going to leave you all with this, at least on Taylor's question. So, and I hear you, my argument is different. Like, so is it necessary for, let's say, a 10-year-old to learn how to do a PowerPoint or to learn how to prompt an AI for a PowerPoint? Because I think the prompting and they review it and they review it again, and you force them to show you how they reviewed their first and they reviewed their second and they edited it. So that to me is like critical. They looked at the PowerPoint and they've engaged it critically. So that to me is like, that's how you should be learning to use a PowerPoint now. So should they learn how to do PowerPoint from scratch, or should they learn how to prompt the PowerPoint and critically analyze it? I'm asking you, but I'm out of time. Who both should learn from scratch? Go, go, go. Come on, guys. Before you go home, I know you got lives. Should learn to do, come on, just for everyone to go home and think about where they stand. Come on, everyone give a post. Just put one thing in the chat quickly. It's already 7:02. Come on, before you go. That's how you say goodbye. There's only 3. Give me a few more. I'm not going to fight with my wife about it. I just want to know from you. Is it both? Should they learn from scratch? Oh, they're running away already. Okay, everybody. Um, yes, 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 yes. Thank you, Storm. Both from scratch. Come on, keep going, Beth, Jamie Lee. I want you all to see the different opinions, and like those are all essentially informed by like an ethical point of view. Utilitarianism, utilitarianism. Um, okay, okay, everyone. As you start dropping off, thank you so much. Thanks for coming. You can keep typing. I really would love it. I'm gonna show my friends. Okay. Yeah, all the best. I know you got I won't see you again. I think for 3 weeks. You've got some other sessions lined up. And then if we touch base again after that, I will chat to you on via Arc. I am available. Drop me an email or message if you need to. And let me know if you have any assignment questions. Do not ask me the night before. I can't ask you I can't answer you at 11 o'clock. Okay, I won't be able to answer you 11 o'clock before your assignment. Okay. Okay. Who's that? Strauss 8020. Ah, you're being cheeky. Okay. Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you to those who responded. Those who didn't, meh. Okay. Talk soon, eh? Have a good one, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye bye.